Are you looking to take your personal finances to the next level? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not, with your host, Joseph Sangl.
Welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast. And for the first time in our history, we're going to be live on the YouTube. So we had YouTube come down here and record this for us.
Thank you, YouTube.
Isn't that awesome? And so you're getting to see a little bit about how the podcast is produced. And we try to sound professional, but now we can't mask it. Sometimes we don't look as professional as we want it to be. Is that right?
I think we're very professional.
Yeah, we're so professional. We are profesh. It is awesome.
Professional.
And today you're wearing like a Better Together Crossroads staff jersey, sweater, sweatshirt. What is that? Is that a sweater or a sweatshirt?
It's a jersey?
It's a jersey?
No.
It's Team Crossroads.
It's a sweatshirt.
Yeah,
because there's no hood, so you can't call it a hoodie.
It's not a hood.
No
okay.
Hoodie.
And so Crossroads is a ministry ran by Clayton King Ministries. It's where your husband, Jordan, works.
Yes, my husband works for Clayton.
You help them in the summer with their camps?
Yep, so we do summer camps, and they do a winter conference, mission trips. They have 14 speakers that my husband manages, as well as all the mission trips. So he is busy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, yeah, they go to Guatemala, Haiti, Thailand, India, LA. So if you want to go on a mission trip, you should go to ClaytonKingMinistries.com.
And for everybody listening to the podcast, it might be helpful for you to know that we believe so much in it that we actually help fund that ministry on a monthly basis. And we can only do it because of all of our listeners and all the people who help us move this mission forward every single year and every single month, and telling other people about it is the greatest compliment we could ever receive. And we're super excited about today's episode, and it's episode number what?
31.
Number 31. And what are we going to talk about today? Today
we're talking about maximizing your tax refund.
Okay. And so what is the specific question that we're going to focus on today?
Yes. Our question today is, it's that time of year when many people will be receiving their tax refund. What should people do in order to maximize their refund this year?
And that's a great question, and it's hugely relevant. We're releasing this podcast on February 4th, and January 31st is the deadline for when people get their W-2s. All the employers have to have W-2s mailed by then, 1099s, all of those documents that we use to file our taxes. And this is the first year where we're going to file under the new tax cuts.
Yep.
And as a result, about over 80%, about 88% of the people who used to use the long form, the so-called 1040 versus the 1040 easy single page, about 88% of them will no longer use the long form. They're going to use the short form. And the standard deduction has went way up. And that's an incredible thing.
Way up.
And so as a result, people are going to get tax refunds. A lot of people are going to get tax refunds, and
Woo!
They just can't wait. Woo! It's so awesome. I will not be getting a tax refund. And so what we know is if you're getting ready to get a tax refund, man, you're fired up. You're so excited. You're thinking about all the ways to use that money. Some of you may have spent it 17 times, 17 different ways in your head, even though you haven't received it quite yet. And today we're going to kind of talk about it. How do you maximize it?
Yeah.
It's a good question, I think.
But first,
it's time for that wonderful time. What is it? Let's go.
Now it's time to get caught up with our current money events.
All right. This portion of the podcast is sponsored by the investing page located in the Next Steps area of the I Was Broke, Now I'm Not website. Just go to iwbnin.com and click on Next Steps, and you'll see all of the investing companies we recommend for investing in the marketplace.
That's right.
Lots of options on there.
Yeah, lots of options, and we're super excited about connecting people to that. It's something that is hugely important. We say this all the time around I Was Broke, Now I'm Not, that there is no harvest if you do not invest. Mm-hmm. And I also like to say it the other way, the positive side. That's kind of a negative one, isn't it? Doesn't that sound kind of negative?
Maybe.
No
I've just heard you say it so many times.
It's kind of the negative side of it. But I like to say for all of us who are investing, when you invest, you can expect a harvest.
There you go.
And it rhymes if you say it exactly right. So for this current money events section, which I love singing, I want you to know it is tax season. It is certainly tax season. And this is a time when everybody expects to receive a tax refund. They're furiously filing. They're getting it all in there. They're doing their TurboTax. They're racing off to H&R Block, or they're doing it themselves. And I don't know does anybody do them by mail anymore? I don't know too many people who don't
but
e-file.
probably not. Yeah. TurboTax has that new thing where they have like
Yeah.
the CPA inside of it.
Yeah, that you can access a CPA, a real live CPA. Yeah. That's what they've been advertising. But here's what I know. If you expect to receive a tax refund, you are all over getting that tax refund on the way to you. And one of the things that I wanted to point out in this current money event section is that many natural born spenders, such as yours truly, and not my me. Co-host, Mrs. Megan Hibbard. I'm a natural born spender, and we think that because the word fun is right in the middle of the word refund, that it is a sign from God himself that we should spend it up. And I am here today to refute that claim that it is not true. You know, that just because the word fun, think about it, is in the middle of the word refund, it is not a sign from God that you should spend it up on fun stuff. Now, I'm not saying that's wrong to spend it on fun stuff, but it's important to think about it first. And so for this current events, I want to urge you to stop, to pause, to consider, and think. Think. Usually the first thing you think of using this money for is not the actual best utilization of those dollars. And so make sure you listen to my response today to our featured question, because we're going to give you lots of tips on how to maximize your refund. So today's really fast current money events is don't just blow the refund. Make sure you maximize it. We're going to teach you how to do that today.
Awesome. All right. Our success story today comes from Reginald. I can honestly say I've never met a Reginald. Have you met one?
I have.
You have? Probably.
Yes.
Is it this guy?
No. Think about, I don't know if you ever read these, but do you remember Archie comics?
Yeah,
Archie
I mean,
and
but
Betty,
like in person, have you ever
Reggie
met
and Veronica?
Have you ever met
and Moose
an
and
actual
Chet
person?
And Jughead? Come on, somebody. I mean, I read all those. In fact, do you know you can still buy them? Brand new cartoons with Archie and Betty and Reginald, which they call Reggie, and Veronica. You can buy it. I was at Publix the other day, and there it was, and I sat and read it. And I remember reading those. I'm off the script, but we've got to talk about this. This is very important, hugely important at this moment. That I read those comics in school, at high school during study hall, and I would literally end up getting my funny bone tickled so much that I would cry laughing, barely able to stay in my seat. And all of my friends, I kept stacks of them in my locker. And I don't know how it was in high school for you, but we all broke our lockers on day one.
Why did you break them?
We just broke them on purpose because we didn't have to do the combination every time. And we just trusted, I guess.
Yeah, that's very trusting.
I mean, our whole senior class was like 53 students, so it wasn't a lot. But my friends would try to borrow the comic books out of there, and they would read them, and they'd be like, I don't get it. This is not funny. Why are you laughing? But anyhow, that's where I've heard Reginald before. Reggie.
But it's not an actual person.
What? Reggie is not actual in the comics? They're not actual people?
All that to say, Reginald, your name is very cool.
Is it Riverside or Riverdale where they went to school?
I don't know. Oh,
man, this is going to kill me.
It's aging you.
Yeah, okay. I'm not aging. I'm still 18 like they are.
But here is our success story back on track. Hi, Joe. My biggest financial wins since attending your financial learning experience have been tithing consistently. I've never tithed for more than 1 month since becoming a Christian, and paying off 3 medical bills. I will stay fired up. Thanks for your help and communication since the event. Reginald.
Hey, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Reginald. There's nothing that feels better than being a giver. And to be able to do that consistently, I know how heartwarming that is. And being able to pay off 3 medical bills, making progress, Reginald. Congratulations. Fired up. And when you get totally debt-free, Reginald, we're expecting you to call us at 864-332-4151. That's 864-332-4151. And when we answer, just go, woo, and hang up on us. We'll know another person has paid off all their debt. That's awesome.
Then we'll be on a first-name basis of Reggie.
That's it. I'll know a Reginald personally. But thanks, Reginald, for sending in your success story.
I love it.
And if you have a success story, podcast listeners, we want to make sure you send it to us as well. We want to celebrate with you, and who knows, you might get your story shared on the air.
All right, so back to our featured question for today. So just to remind everybody what it is, it's that time of year when many people will be receiving their tax refund. What should people do in order to maximize their refund this year?
Yes, and that's a big deal. First, I want to say congrats on receiving a tax refund. I know that many people used to say, you're giving the government a 0% interest loan. Have you ever heard that said? It's like giving the government a 0% interest loan. Well, over the past 7 or 8 years, where else are you going to put it? All the banks were paying about 0% interest. So, I found that it's better for many of us, especially those of us who are spenders. Sometimes it's better for the government to keep it all through the year and then give us that one big lump sum of money, because it forces a level of discipline to actually receive a chunk of money.
Yeah.
And do you typically get a refund every year?
Do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last year we had to pay one and we got a refund for one, so it kind of washed out. But usually we get one. So fingers crossed.
And so I remember these days when I used to get a refund when I was just a straight W-2 employee, and that was awesome. I remember, man, it took about 3 weeks back then to kind of get your money back if you filed electronically. And if you filed by mail, it was just like, you just didn't know.
You saw it in July.
7 or 8 months from now, it might show up. But to be able to get that check from the U.S. Treasury, man, was awesome. And so I just want to say to you, hey, some people might be saying that to you, that you're giving the government a 0% interest loan and you need to change your exemptions so that you get more money per paycheck. But if you've not yet developed that discipline of budgeting, and you've not developed that discipline of continually saving or to avoiding future debt, man, I would say just continue doing what you've been doing. It's okay. Think about it. Even if you get a $5,000 tax refund, which is a huge refund, at 2% interest, that's $100 in interest that's if they gave you the $5,000 at the start of the year. And so I look at it and say, you're not giving up a lot. And if you find that you're a natural spender and you would make it all disappear and have nothing to show for it, then I would encourage you to just leave it with the government, leave things as they are, and get that refund. And of course, one of the things that is happily happening is interest rates are going up, which is a great thing. They're returning to moderate levels. That's great news for those listening who are natural-born savers. And so if you are receiving a refund, what should you do with that money? Should you save it? Should you pay off a debt or two? Should you invest it? Should you spend it on some fun stuff? Should you donate it to the Monday Money Tip podcast team?
Yes.
Yes, that's our answer. There's a lot of options. And here's what is the big frustration is that money can only be used once. Mm-hmm. And once it's gone, it's gone. So I think it's hugely important to think through what to do with it. And when we look at the initial answer, what do you think I'm going to point people to?
Well, conveniently, I know the answer. The I Was Broke, Now I'm Not ladder.
That's right. And where can they locate a copy of the ladder?
Well, we'll include it in the show notes, but if you're just listening on your way to work and you want to be able to find it later, you can go to iwbnin.com/ladder.
Yeah. And so if you just go to our main website, just search I Was Broke, Now I'm Not in Google. I promise you there's not any other organization remotely named like that. Go to our base website, iwbnin.com, put a /ladder. Yep. You can download it. That's awesome. And so I'm teaching this ladder. We teach it in my book in more detail in I Was Broke, Now I'm Not in chapter 4. And we also have the 6-week study, and it is the first lesson. And the reason we provide the ladder is to put in order the different financial decisions that are necessary. And so if you have a tax refund coming to you, I encourage you, just go straight to the ladder and stare at it. And when you look at the ladder, try to figure out what your next rung is. And so just to think about it, the first rung is to set your goals, to write down those goals, your financial ones and your life goals. Write all of them down so that it will order your steps up the ladder. And the second step is to save money, to start with 1 month's worth of expenses. So stop right there, podcast listener. Do you have 1 month's worth of money in savings right now? Do you? So think about it. What is your income for a month? So that's probably about a month's worth of your expenses. So do you have that much money in savings? If you do not, what should they do, Megan?
They should start saving.
That's right. They with the tax refund, you should put it into savings. And when you do that, it builds margin in your life. And that doesn't seem like much fun on the surface. Put your money in savings. Doesn't sound so exciting. But trust me, if you don't have margin in your life, you have no idea how awesome it is to have money just sitting there to protect you from the things that life will throw your way. Describe, Megan, a little bit about, how you view your emergency fund, and what does it bring to you as far as peace or financial freedom?
Yeah, I think it brings comfort when, the unexpected expense comes up that you're not prepared for. You don't have to panic and say, oh no, what are we going to do? Or how are we going to afford that? Or we're going to have to charge it and figure out how to pay it later. But you're able to say, okay, well, we've saved for that. We have that money set aside already. We can use that, and then we can replenish the emergency fund. And you're not stressed. You're not sleeping because of it, and that expense comes up. I don't lose sleep over it. I'm able to say, okay, we're going to be able to pay for that because we've saved, because we have this emergency fund, because we have this margin, and we can cover that expense, and then we can move on to the next one, because the expense is going to happen no matter what it is, whether it's, you unexpectedly have to go out of town because of, a relative gets sick, or, there could be any kind of things that you're not prepared for that you have to kind of jump in and say, well, this expense has to be met.
So let's talk about a practical one that I heard you experience recently.
Okay.
With your beloved fur baby.
Oh, yeah. He's
and
sweet.
His name's Barkley.
His name is Barkley.
And what type of dog is he? Just remind our listeners what type of dog your dog is.
He's a sheepadoodle, so he's half Old English sheepdog and half poodle.
And what color is he?
He's black and white.
And he's got lots of curly hair. Can you see his eyes very good?
He just actually went to the groomer today, so you can today. Yesterday, not so much.
and listen, podcast listeners, Joe Sangl, might be getting a dog soon. I'm super excited.
Unbeknownst to your wife.
But no. We've only been discussing this animatedly for at least 21 years. So this is awesome. But Barkley had an emergency.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he had to go to the vet.
He had to have surgery.
And did he have the cone of shame around his head?
He did.
Yeah.
He still has the cone, poor guy.
And did it cost money?
It did.
Yeah. But you had money.
We did.
And so your emergency fund helped you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I just want to explain, podcast listeners, come on. Life's going to throw things your way.
Yeah.
I've heard Megan talk about floodwaters having to be rearranged around your house and having to put in a special type of drain.
Yep.
Just where you wanted to spend your money, right?
Just where I wanted to spend it, not so much.
And recently I've had to put brakes on the front of my car and new tires all the way around. And then my truck, I was a fool and drove without the brakes on my trailer working with my John Deere. And it kind of pushed me through a red light at 35 miles an hour because my brakes weren't working, and I blew the brakes out of my truck, and that cost me some serious money. And then I drove the truck into my barn and hit it with my tractor and had to pay $130 to fix the roll-up door.
You have not told us these stories.
What I'm just trying to say is, you know what? I might make good decisions with money, but then sometimes life happens, and sometimes it's especially frustrating when you could have controlled that issue.
Yep.
But it's great to have an emergency fund. And life's going to happen to you. You're going to have stuff happen. It's going to happen. And hear me, it is a choice on whether or not you have savings. And when you have a tax refund coming your way, it's an immediate choice for you to decide right now. If you don't have an emergency fund, save it. It's rung number 2 of the ladder, and it allows you to start focusing on things into the future without dreading the next financial catastrophe around the corner.
Yeah.
And of course, the third rung is to invest enough to capture your full company match that's available to you. So if your employer provides a matching contribution to your investment, man, and you're not contributing enough to get that whole match,
you're losing free money.
And we match. So Megan, she gets a match, dollar for dollar, up to 3% of her pay. And she's contributing enough to get the full match because it's free money. And so if you're not doing that, but you already have your emergency fund, that rung number 2, then rung number 3, you need to increase your investment into your retirement plan. Of course, if you've achieved rung number 1, 2, and 3, you've wrote down your plans, hopes, and dreams, you've got that 1 month's worth of money in savings, and you are getting the full company match, or if you don't have a match from your employer, you're investing at least $100 a month, then you need to go to rung number 4, which is to eliminate all non-house, non-business debt. And that's awesome because that allows you to maybe eliminate a total debt. And that's great because that frees up an entire monthly payment. And that allows you options. And of course, you may have climbed on up to rung number 7, which is you're focused on paying off your house and business debt. But and you're just applying the money towards paying off your home mortgage. But what I'm really saying is go look at the ladder. And I think you'll find that it makes it pretty clear about what your next step is on maximizing that tax refund. And by the way, if you have a bonus that shows up sometime later in the year, or if you're getting an inheritance or some sort of lump sum form of money, it's abnormal found money, I encourage you to listen to this episode again, because my answer is going to be go back to the ladder and go in order. But here's the twist. Are you ready for a twist?
I'm ready.
Can you make some music up on a twist? Dun, 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 like that? Is that awesome? She's staring at me.
I don't know if that's the right sound effect.
It's a twist. It's kind of like, what? Wait, what? Here's the twist. If you have a large chunk of money, and it's a larger than normal chunk of money like a tax refund, it's kind of a rare event for most people. And my exceptions to just follow the ladder, which is what I say most of the times, just look at the ladder, go up the ladder. My exceptions are this. Can you start a small business with the money? Because if you can start a small business with the money, then that money can make you more money for the next 5, 10, 15, or 20 years. Mm-hmm. That could be a better deployment of those resources. Yeah. So that's an option, an exception to this ladder rule. The second one is, could you wipe out a larger debt, one with a larger payment, if you used all the money toward it? Because a lot of people, they're paying like this $505 car payment, but they're like $3,500 away from paying it off. And if they paid it off, $3,500 with this tax refund, they free up $500 a month in margin immediately. Mm-hmm. And so that's an exception too. And another one is you could use it to fund all of your known upcoming but non-monthly expenses for the year. Things like Christmas and vacation and property taxes and home repairs and car repairs. And those known upcoming but non-monthly expenses, they're really foundational elements that support your climb up the ladder. So that could be an excellent use of the money as well. But the ultimate goal is this, is to think. To just take time and think through the use of the money. And I highly recommend you use something, a free tool that we offer at our website. We'll have a link to it in the show notes. We call it the mini budget. And the mini budget allows you to spend this tax refund to think through 3 different ways that you could utilize the money. And you can utilize those 3 different ways to really help inform your decision as to what is the best way to maximize every one of those dollars. And it's located under the wildly popular tools section of our website. And I encourage you, after you know your tax refund amount, pull up this tool and start planning the different ways to do this, to use the money. And if you're married, sit down with your spouse and you plan one, then let your spouse plan one with no input from you, and then use the third one as kind of a compromise, merger of the two. And hopefully, if you're like me, it will include getting a woofie. I don't know what type of puppy. If you have recommendations of what type of dog I should get, please send it to me and respond to me. I want to know. I will tell you this. I don't want one that barks incessantly, and I don't want an ankle biter, a little tiny one. I want maybe a 40 or 50, 60, 70-pound dog, not a 100-pound dog.
Yeah.
The key financial quote today is what?
All right. When you tell your money where to go, you'll never have to wonder where it went.
That's right. That's a great quote.
Who said that?
Many people have said it, and I don't quite know. I know Dave Ramsey said it a lot. I know Clark Howard has said it a lot. Larry Burkett said it back in the day. It really is a common saying, and it is so true, that when you tell your money where to go, you'll never have to wonder where it went. And what I like to say is you maximize your money. And that's a fantastic thing.
Awesome. Well, if you have any other questions regarding tax refund, what you should do with your money when you get the tax refund, questions about the ladder, feel free to email us. You can call us. Our email address is info@iwbnin.com, and we'd love to answer any questions that you have on that. Our next episode, we're going to be talking about debt-free vacation, and the question is going to be, many people have started planning the vacations they want to take in 2019. How should they prepare in order to not incur any new debt this year? This gets me so excited because I love vacation. I love summertime. I love the months of the year when it's hot. So the fact that it's not hot right now,
yes,
and we can talk about this, gets me excited.
I'm super excited to talk about that because many people, that's a foreign concept. Like some listeners, I think, just about wrecked when you said a debt-free vacation because they've never went on a vacation. that they did not put on the credit cards.
Yeah.
And weren't able to pay it off when they got back home.
And it's so early in the year, there's still time when that can be a possibility. You don't have to say just because you're already in 2019 that can't happen. So
yeah,
we'll definitely talk through.
It's going to be a great episode. Yeah. Super excited about it. And I do encourage you, if you like today's episode, please, please, please help us get this podcast to other people who could benefit. And you can do this by quickly rating our podcast and then leave a review. And those ratings and reviews, they help us in making our podcast better for our listeners. We also want to hear from you about ways that we can make this podcast better. Or if you have topics you want to hear us talk about, send those to us at the email address provided, info@iwbnin.com. And who knows, we just might make that the subject of a show.
Yeah, and the last Monday of the month, we're going to be answering your top money questions. So if you have questions you'd like us to answer, please email those to the email address that Joe said, info@iwbnin.com. We might feature those questions. And if you've implemented one of our tips that we've talked about, or if you want to share one of your success stories, we'd love to hear those as well. So definitely email them to us.
Awesome. Till next time, get fired up and go win with your money.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a review and subscribe. And for more great content and to stay up to date, visit iwbnin.com. We'll catch you next time.